Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am recording this from my patio in beautiful, lovely Escazú, Costa Rica, on Sunday, the 23rd of November in the year 2025. And I just want to take a moment to say that we have the last week of November ahead of us. And December 2nd, I am giving a presentation about 2026 astrology called Astrology 2026, The Rebellion of Fire and Air. Join me. It's going to be an amazing night because we are going to talk about next year's astrology, which includes something unprecedented, something we've never seen in our lifetime, okay? Something that we have not had happen for anyone living on Earth right now. And that's what's going to happen next February with Saturn and Neptune at the beginning of Aries. So we're going to talk about that. That's a highlight of 2026. Plus, we're going to talk about the eclipses. We're going to talk about all the sign changes because Uranus will change signs, Neptune will change signs, Saturn will change signs, and Jupiter always changes signs once a year. So that will change signs too. So this is going to be a big discussion. It will be 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, the 2nd of December on Zoom, so it will be recorded, and I like people to come live so we can have a lively discussion and really people can ask questions because these unprecedented moments are going to be happening for everyone in your astrological chart. And where might that happen? And what does it mean for you? So let's look at all of that. Join me. It's only $55. You can go to my website, thegoldenastrologer.com. Go to my blog page, Astrologer's Thoughts, and there's a last blog page talks about two events. And the second one is the one I'm talking about. You can sign up for it there. You can sign up for it under Book Online on my website, thegoldenastrologer.com. You just click Book Online. And you can scroll down to find the event. You can write to me, and I'll send you the link to the event, info@thegoldenastrologer.com, deb@debmcbride.com. This is going to be a lot of fun. There's a bunch of people already signed up. I want more people to come and hear about this because it's really important. This is one of the most stellar things we've ever had happen, and things have not ever lined up like this in anyone's lifetime. So join me. Let's do it. And in the meantime, we do have the last week of November ahead of us, and it's pretty big this week. This is a big week. So much to talk about. And then there's last week, which we're still in the hangover from last week, okay? Because that new moon was very nice in one respect because it was making very lovely aspects, like I told you, to Jupiter and to Saturn, and it was good, but it was really the whole arrangement with the conjunction to Mercury and the opposition to Uranus that I think blew things up, because I didn't feel what I'm feeling now until about Thursday, Friday, and I think that that's really what is hanging in the air now. People are overwhelmed, and I feel overwhelmed. My friends here feel overwhelmed. One of my friends said that she had a meltdown at the hairdresser on Thursday. So people are feeling complicated emotions, and they are overwhelmed because so much is going on right now. And that whole new moon opposite Uranus really was a kick in the pants. A kick in the shins, a kick in the butt. It was a kick. And, as far as shocks go, surprising and chaos, yes, we had some of that. But it was interesting how it all manifested. So I had a surprise, chaotic event on Tuesday before all this new moon stuff started happening. And, Mercury was opposite Uranus 6:45 a.m. on Wednesday the 19th. So it was hanging in the air and happening Tuesday, like I had said last week. So Tuesday evening, it was around 6 p.m. or so, and my cat had been taking long walks, and she's on a long walk right now, so I half expect her to show up while I'm recording this on the patio. She took a long walk Monday night, and she was gone for like an hour, and I'm like, where is she, this little girl? And she showed up, obviously, because she knows where her home is. But she went outside on Tuesday the 18th in the evening, like, a little before 6, and I was sitting on the patio. It was dark, and I thought she had gone for one of her long walks up by the river here. And then I hear a kerfuffle in the right side of my garden, and I'm like, what's that? And there she is. She appeared. And I'm like, Gata Marina, what's going on? And she was running toward my door. So she's running, running in the house. And I'm thinking, okay, well, she runs in the house sometimes, but it's usually up the path from where she's been or whatever. She comes running, especially if I shake the treat bag, she comes running. But she was running into the house, and I opened the door for her, and she ran past me. And I thought, okay, she's in a hurry to get in the house. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm like, oh, hey, baby. And I walked in the house with her, and she looks at me, and she goes over to a corner of the dining room, and she doesn't normally do that. She runs over to her corrugated cardboard scratchy platform things, and she scratches them, but she ran to the corner of the dining room, and I'm like, I don't know what she's doing. Okay, Gata Marina, what's going on? And I said, what's going on with your whiskers? They look a little strange. And then I realized she has something in her mouth. And I said, Gata, what do you have? What do you have? Oh my God. She dropped it on the floor. It was a rat. Okay, so now pandemonium ensues. I stood here in shock. There's your Uranus. I stood here in shock. Mercury can be small animals. So she stood here with the rat in the corner, and she was cornering it, and it ran to the other side of the dining room, and she ran after it, and now she's playing cat and mouse, and it was a rat. It was not a mouse either. It was fairly well sized, but it was like black, like a black rat. And I'm standing here saying, no, 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 no. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh my God. Okay, so now I had to go get help. So I ran out my gate. I grabbed my keys. I unlocked the gate. I run out, and Giselle, my landlady's outside. She says, Deborah, what happened? And I said, Gata Marina brought in a rat. And it's alive. It's not dead. She didn't kill it. It's alive. So she said, ay. So I was running to get the guard to help me. And then Monica was coming down the stairs and from her apartment. She says, what's the matter? What happened? Because they must have heard me yelling, no! And I said, I'm coming to get the guard. And I told her, Gata Marina brought a rat in from the garden. And she said, oh, no, don't get him, because he doesn't know you. He doesn't know your house. He doesn't know what to do. I'll help you. So here we are, two women going to get this rat out of my house, right? So she comes in and she says, no big deal. I'll help you. I'm like, all right, you know what you're doing. I stayed calm. We came into my house, and Gata Marina's cornering it by the sofa. It ran behind the sofa. The sofa's a sectional, so we started pulling all the sections out, and then Monica sees and she goes, oh, it's big. Well, to me, this was not a big rat. This was a kind of smallish rat. I don't know, because I'm used to New York City rats, and they were twice the size of this. The subway rats, my New Yorkers, if you're listening, you know what a subway rat looks like. This was about half the size of a subway rat, okay? So she and I were chasing this thing. It came out from behind the sofa because we pulled the chairs out. It ran across the room. Gata Marina chased it. It ran behind the stove, and Monica standing here saying, Gata Marina, get it. I said, she can't fit behind the stove. So we had to pull the stove out. This must have gone on for half an hour that we're running around trying to find this stupid thing and get it out. And Gata Marina lost interest. And we had the door propped open so that we could get it out easily instead of like grabbing the door and opening it before it ran away. So we're blocking it with this couch section so it can only run out the door. And Gata Marina just, I shook the treat bag. She came in. I said, you're supposed to help us. She took a few treats. She just looks at us. Okay, I'm not interested anymore. Went out into the garden and hung out. So we took one of the sectionals from the couch, and the rat was underneath there. And these are garden rats. These are not New York City, I don't know what they have, rats. And we slid the couch section. I said, I think if we slide that to the door, we can get this thing out. It'll just run out from underneath. And she said, that's a good idea. And that's what we did. And we slid the whole section, which was kind of heavy, out to the door of my garden, which has one step before you get to the patio. I'm sitting here now, the scene of the crime. And then the rat ran away really quick. It was a really quick rat. So it wasn't dying. It wasn't dead. It wasn't injured at all. And it ran out and we got rid of it. So that was my chaotic Mercury, Uranus, almost new moon experience. I would say I would pin that one with Mercury, Uranus. Okay. So that was that. Okay, so I thought, all right, if that's the surprise, shock, chaos that Uranus is bringing me, well, then that's not so bad. We got rid of it. I wasn't going to go to sleep with that thing in my house. You can believe me. I wasn't going to sleep with that thing in my house. So, and there you have it. So that was the one part of it. But I think when the new moon happened, that was Tuesday night. The new moon happened on Wednesday night or early Thursday. That's when I really felt people having a hard time. And that's when I really felt that this energy is hanging over us. And it's hanging over us even right now. So I think it's better than it was, say, Thursday, Friday. But it's an overwhelming energy. And I've heard so many stories of people telling me they were overwhelmed. We went to Alejandro's book party on Thursday night, and my friend Veronica was saying she's overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed. So this is the nature of what's going on. Things keep opposing Uranus, and Uranus is chaos. And Uranus, when we deal with outer planets, okay, when you're dealing with an outer planet, and an inner planet makes an aspect to it, it talks to it. Very directly in an opposition, a conjunction, a square like that. Not so much the trines that we've been having, because we've been having these nice things trine Jupiter and Neptune and Saturn, and that's been fine. And actually, that very lovely water grand trine has been supporting us through all of this. It's a lot of emotions, yes. So when we feel overwhelmed, we feel like maybe we're a little bit inundated by emotion, water. And that's okay, because they are supportive and we are going to get out of this. It's the punch, the kick from Uranus that I think is really doing it. Whenever an outer planet and an inner planet make an aspect like this, that's when everything goes into heavy energies, chaos, overwhelm, upset, anxiety, frustration, anger, all of those things. And they may be fleeting and passing, but they trigger us. And if you have that in your chart, if you have a Mercury opposite Uranus in your chart, then you're going to really feel this. But it doesn't mean that it's going to last forever. It's just going to come, we're going to resolve it, it's going to go away. But this is an important point I want to make. Inner planets make aspects to outer planets all the time. And when they do that, this is when we really feel that deep emotional upset, the anxiety, the frustration, the anger, the sadness, all of it. And so remember that when these things come, we can't really escape them. They're going to hit us. They're going to come. You can ride the wave, which is what we have to do. But if you have one of these in your chart, you know what this feels like. So here's what I'm trying to say. If you feel Mercury Uranus was like a kick upside the head, and you're like, wow, this has really been an emotional week, or emotional or a harried, chaotic few days, then imagine what it's like to have that in your chart natally. And I want to impress this upon you, because natal aspects between inner planets and outer planets are the juice of astrology and the juice of your astrological chart. Okay? That's the stuff. That's where we get triggered. That's where we get emotional. And so if you have squares, oppositions, conjunctions, the hard aspects, the intense aspects to an outer planet from an inner planet, then you are feeling these things every day. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, and you felt what happened these last couple days, and we've got more coming this week, then you will know that this is what it feels like when somebody has that in their chart. And you probably have something in your chart. Most people have hard aspects from inner planets to outer planets. Some people don't. But this is where the compassion and empathy come in, because I always say, if you've got a friend and she just can't have a relationship, and you have like all sorts of friends who like meet their spouse, get married, have a great relationship, blah, blah, blah. And you've got another friend who's just like at threads with these things. She's probably got some sort of outer planet situation with Venus or the moon or Mars. And that's what's going on for people when they have complicated love lives, money lives, complicated relationships with their family. It's all the squares and the oppositions and the conjunctions to the outer planets, okay? And this is why people have emotional stuff in their life. When we look at this, now the planets aren't causing it, they are the archetypal description of what's going on for you with that. And this is the stuff we need to work out every day in our lives. So if you get triggered when I tell you Mercury is opposite Uranus, and now this week we have Venus going to opposite Uranus, okay, oppose Uranus, then we have an idea what it feels like to live with that every day. Imagine that chaos that we just had. Imagine living with that every day. That's your friends who have Mercury opposite Uranus, whoever they are, your family members. Those people live with that and have to step up to that on a regular basis. I don't have that. I have a trine from Mercury to Uranus. So they talk to each other smoothly in my chart. But I felt that, and I knew that it was important to describe this to everyone, because this is what it feels like when people have difficult aspects in their life all the time in their chart. So we have to have compassion and empathy for them, and we have to be aware of what happens and not judge people when they get chaos in their life, or they can't have relationships, or their work life is a mess, or their finances are a mess. They've got this stuff. They got to go work it out. Everybody's got something. And so when I talk about these things, somebody's being born at this very minute, okay? And they've got these things in their chart. So what are transits for us is somebody else's birth chart. And so we have to be aware of this. And this is what I'm saying. If you've got a Mercury-Uranus opposition or the upcoming Venus-Uranus opposition, then you are going to resonate to these things. And you're like, oh yeah, I deal with this every day in my life. Oh yeah, okay, I get it now. Those things that you feel, that's what we're dealing with on a regular basis. So we are talking about them because it helps to understand and recognize that these things happen in people's charts and they live with this. There are people who live with the chaos we just went through. So yes, that's my point. So yes, there is going to be a Venus opposite Uranus on Saturday the 29th. But that's only part of the story, because that's a big weekend. So I know it's Thanksgiving in the U.S., and so we have Saturn going direct on Thanksgiving Day in Pisces, and it's now going to be on its way out of Pisces, right? So it's finally going to be leaving Pisces, but that won't happen until February. So the fact that it's going direct is good news. It's going direct 10:52 p.m. Eastern Time on the 27th, Thursday, okay? So Thanksgiving night. And then Saturday, Mercury's going to go direct, hurrah, at 12:38 p.m. Eastern Time. That's noontime. And then Venus and Uranus are going to oppose on Saturday later on at 9:48 p.m. Eastern Time. So this is a big weekend. And if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, if you're in the U.S., and I'm doing Thanksgiving here, this is a lot of energy and a little bit of chaos going on, okay? So we've got Saturn going direct, and that's one of the moments we've been waiting for, because it's really about this big, unprecedented thing that's going to happen next February. And this is the first step towards that, as Saturn goes direct in Pisces to leave Pisces. And it's been there since March of 2023. So now February 2026, almost 3 years, it has taken to go out. And then this Mercury retrograde, thank God, is going to finally be over on Saturday. This has really been a whopper. This has been a whopper. So many things, but details, and I just will not bore you with them. But so many things that are messed up because of Mercury. But that's going to end, like I said, Saturday. So Saturday is going to be, we're still feeling the Saturn station, because Saturn just doesn't go direct and like, we're direct. And it's a long, few days of Saturn stationing, turning around, going direct, stationing some more. So right now we're feeling the slowdown of Saturn, and probably by when we get to Thanksgiving on Thursday, we will be feeling the slowdown of Mercury, and Mercury going direct on Saturday, and then finally, thank you, and it will be like 20 days that it went retrograde. So a little less than normal, thank you. And then there's this Venus opposite Uranus. Now, Venus opposite Uranus is usually chaotic. Uranus is a chaos planet. It's a chaos planet. It shakes us up. It shakes us out of our comfort zone. It gives us beautiful stimulation and ideas and brilliance and genius and innovation and all sorts of good things like that. But it also shakes up where we're stale, where we are complacent, where we're not allowed to be complacent, and where we've gotten a little too comfortable with our situation, and perhaps it's a good idea to step out of it and freshen up the energy a little bit. So this might be in your finances, because it's Venus, or it's in your relationships and friendships and things. Maybe things are, get a little soap opera-y or chaotic. Maybe this is a stimulating creative experience. And I think that this is good for creativity. I think that this is really a sparkle of a lot of creative energy. And we are going to have a lot of creative energy this week because Venus is very busy. Venus and Mercury are just about to conjunct, and they will conjunct, Mercury's retrograde still, they will conjunct tomorrow at 8:52 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday the 24th. So the Mercury-Venus is good. That's good. We like that. That's intrigue and intellect and conversations and creativity and meeting people and having conversations and thinking in a creative way. That's very cool. Then Venus is going to be doing the same thing that Mercury and the Sun did on their way out of Scorpio, or in the Sun's case, on its way out of Scorpio into Sagittarius, and in Mercury's case, backwards from Sagittarius through Scorpio. And that is that Venus will, on Wednesday, the 26th, trine Jupiter and also trine Saturn. So there's another nice grand water trine from Venus and Scorpio, trine Jupiter, trine Saturn, and this is a great, beautiful aspect. Boy, is that great for creativity. That's great for socializing. So it helps this experience on Thanksgiving of Saturn going direct, because Venus is in a supportive place, and so is Jupiter. So it's going to make Thanksgiving more fun and sociable and lovely, even though Saturn is stationing, and it's very serious. Saturn's very serious. So Saturn stationing to go direct. I'm glad it's not Uranus stationing to go direct. I think a year or two ago we had Jupiter station. I think it was a couple of years ago. Jupiter was stationing to go direct on Thanksgiving. He was like, yeah. But now Jupiter's not going direct till next year. So we've got Saturn being very serious Saturn, stopping in the sky and maybe making things feel a little more arduous, a little more responsible, like our responsibilities are high. And, that's the nature of Saturn. And that's probably adding to the overwhelm, because Saturn stopping and slowing down, we're going to be criticizing ourselves. We're going to be nitpicking ourselves. We're going to be judging ourselves. We're going to be hard on ourselves and others. We're going to be thinking about whether we are doing it right. And I'm having people come that haven't come before. I'm hoping that they have a good time, and this has been a long road with Saturn having stepped into Aries and now back at the end of Pisces, now going direct. So this is a lot of energy that we've experienced earlier this year where Saturn is now, and it's kind of ready to like let go and move forward, and we have to just trust everything's going to be okay. Saturn's definitely making things heavier. And I think the burden of Saturn stopping and going direct can really contribute to that overwhelm we're feeling. And then Mercury is going to do the same thing. So I expect Mercury to be a little tricky. I'm wondering if some of the people who are saying they're coming to Thanksgiving are not coming to Thanksgiving. And then, Venus is going to be having some very lovely conversations supporting that Saturn. And I think that's great. I think that's going to help make up for some of this. So Saturn's a bigger planet and it's a slower moving planet, and we're going to feel this heaviness. So don't be hard on yourself or others. Just do what you can. Get it all done. You want it to be good. We all feel super responsible right now. And that's part of it. Have a good time on Saturday the 29th when Mercury goes direct and we can celebrate. And then Venus and Uranus are lively, and they can be really sociable and very lively. So that's a nice thing. Venus is then going to trine Neptune. So it's part of that whole grand trine. So Venus is, whatever's opposing Uranus is part of the grand water trine. So that's a good thing. We like this. We like that, even though Uranus adds a flare of chaos, we're still getting some really good, nice, supportive energy. And this trine to Neptune is part of that picture. And Venus trine Neptune's always really lovely, and it's a little romantic, and it's fun and charming and good. So have some fun next weekend. I hope that if you are on a long weekend, that you do have a good time and you give yourself some time to, be frivolous and free and enjoy yourself. And of course, that's when the big shopping starts. So do be careful. Do be careful with that. Venus is then going into Sagittarius on Sunday the 30th at 3:14 p.m. And this is great because now Venus gets to be a little more, flirty and spicy and fun, as opposed to being in her detriment in Scorpio, right? So she's going to feel better once she's out of Scorpio and in Sag. But, it is a good thing that she's talking to the outer planets really nicely, talking to Jupiter, talking to Saturn, talking to Neptune. And, the opposition to Uranus, well, if you have a lot of order in your plans for the weekend, expect something to go awry. Don't be strict. See, this is a very interesting dynamic because Saturn, like I said, wants everything to be in order, wants it all to be together and in order and organized and responsible and to look good. Uranus is like, I don't care. We're going to have a wild party and we're going to throw our champagne glasses and crash them after we've drunk our champagne. And this is not conducive to Saturn. Saturn doesn't want this. Saturn wants stability. Saturn wants order and organized and looking good and professional and responsible and all those good things. And so you want your Thanksgiving dinner to be beautiful if you're celebrating. And then there's Venus Uranus, which is still going to be, talking to each other on Thursday. They're exact on Saturday night, but they are not quite reaching each other on Thursday. And so, but they're still talking to each other. They're getting ready. Venus is getting ready to talk to Uranus now. And so we are having some very interesting dynamics this week that you just got to go with the flow. You've got to go with it. We are in Sagittarius season. The sun is in Sag. So that means we can have a good time, relax, let go. Sagittarians are great at surrendering and letting go. Saturn at the end of the zodiac is telling us to surrender. And even though it may put a little damper on the Thanksgiving plans, it could be very much that you are overdoing the responsibility or overdoing the pressure, like the pressure to get things done, and let the stress go. let it go, let the overwhelm go, enjoy Sagittarius season, and enjoy the fun that next weekend brings, Don't let Saturn rain on your parade, right? Don't let Saturn rain on your holiday season. It's the start of the big shopping, right? And Saturn's going direct. Maybe people will be very cautious this year and not overdo it and overindulge. With Venus going into Sag and Venus opposite Uranus, there could be quite a bit of overindulgence, but hopefully they will all balance each other out, and Saturn will say, you know what, don't do that, don't spend that money, don't overdo it, don't overindulge. After all, that's Saturn's job, to keep us responsible. It's a mixed week. It's really good and fun, and then there's this very responsible Saturn aspect that's happening, going direct. But remember, this is good news. When the outer planets go direct, and Saturn's right before the outer planets, so it's kind of an outer planet. When the outer planets go direct, when the planets are going direct, it's good news. We want them to move forward. And we've got one more after this weekend. We've got Neptune going direct in December, and then everything will be direct. And then we can start to make progress now. Now that Saturn's going direct, now that Mercury's going direct, we want to make progress. And these are the planets that are giving us the go-ahead to make that progress. So next year's big unprecedented stuff, we want to look forward to that. Saturn's going to take us one step in that direction. And if you are feeling that things have been a little stuck for you, this should start to loosen that up with Saturn and Mercury going direct. If you are having a holiday weekend, or if you're not having a holiday weekend, wherever you're living, perhaps it's best to really pay attention to what starts to move forward as Saturn moves forward, because this is part of that big picture of next year, 2026. And don't forget to sign up for my Rebellion of Fire and Air in 2026. And that will be, it'll probably run about 2 hours. And that will be December 2nd, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, $55. You know where to find me to sign up. Deb at debmcbride.com, info at thegoldenastrologer.com. And I'll also be on Instagram at The Golden Astrologer, giving you links to sign up for my lecture on December 2nd, and also giving you astrology reports through the week. I'm also available for Reiki, whether you want to study Reiki with me, Rainbow Crystal Reiki, or if you want to have a Reiki session with me. It's really beautiful. It helps clear up obstacles, clear your field, break contracts, all sorts of good stuff. So you can go to my website, thegoldenastrologer.com, and book a session there. And also an astrology session, of course, if you'd like an astrology session with me to look at the year ahead, because lots of things will be happening for everyone. And I'm available for expansion mentoring. If you're interested, you could spend the next 3, 6, or 12 months with me, and we can get through these changes together and work through them with all the tools I have in my toolkit. Thank you so much for listening. Have a beautiful week ahead. Enjoy the very nice social energy we have coming, and the forward moving energy that we have. We're going to be celebrating when Mercury goes retrograde direct. And then I will see you next week. I'm going away next weekend, so stay tuned. It might not exactly be on Sunday that I do the podcast, but I'll keep you posted. So have a beautiful week. Thank you for listening. Gratitude to all.